It's easier to talk about them now, 40 years later, than it was, 10 years later.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the toughest one was the first Sunday in December, and I think it might be in the 5th of December, 1965. We were choppered out, and they don't tell you where you're going or what the purpose is, but I'm pretty sure we're right by the Cambodian border, way north. And for some reason, we did this on a Friday, and we dug in Friday night, some snipers, out in the jungle. Actually, we stayed in, Friday night we stayed in a French, it looked like a French villa out in the middle of the jungle.
Wow.
And it was overgrown with all this great tile and stuff. That was Friday night. Then Saturday, we got some more snipers, and for some reason, sometime in the afternoon, this helicopter comes in, and a priest steps out of the helicopter, and he gives us mass.
Wow.
So I'm saying, why are we having mass on Saturday? We found out on Sunday why. Sunday morning, we were going through the jungle, and the first casualty was a lieutenant, Black A. I guess he had a booby trap up in a tree, and it killed him instantly. And I stepped right over him. But within half an hour, it was delaying tactics, And within half an hour, we were in a serious ambush. And as it turns out, afterwards, we all looked back and said, we were bait. We were the bait. And we went into a thing called a horseshoe ambush. Or a horseshoe, and then they actually close you in from behind, so now you're in a circle. You're totally enclosed, and they have them up in the trees. And they have mortars coming on top of you. So I think that probably started around 10 o'clock in the morning and didn't finish about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that firefight. And our artillery was thrown into the fray, and the planes come in, jets. When it was all over, we started to kind of regroup, etc. And we kind of had our body count. There was 48 of us killed, and they said there was 210 wounded, and 4 guys died the following day. So it was 52 killed in that little battle. The only buddy I had was one of the first to go. He was from Hawaii. He got the top of his head shot off. But that was a tough one.
Yeah.
And, after that, we were out we were back in base camp for 3 days, and we were out for 4 days.
When you were like on downtime, was there any towns that you get into, or for any socializing?
Oh, we did.
You were quite a distance from Saigon, so.
Well, we went to Saigon once.
Did you? Yeah.
Oh, we did. Yeah, there was some kind of a detail.
Yeah.
Gave us 2 hours off in the middle. I think that's the reason for going to Saigon.
Yeah.
Give us 2 hours off.
Sometime.
Yeah, they said we were going there to pick up armaments or something. But Saigon was just a tough town. Typical war town where, plenty of beer, plenty of drink, plenty of everything that you do. Yeah.
The fun things. Like was more or less a kind of a village.
Like was a small village. In fact, Like had a barber. Right, and I think our headquarters was close to the village, right, and I believe our major, one of the majors in the battalion, got killed from a sniper in a tree inside the perimeter, and so they could see the flash from the tree at nighttime, and they fired into the tree and got the guy who was a sniper. It was the barber. It was a local barber. He used to cut his
guy's hair during the day.
his hair, cut and shave him. But I would like cable. The peculiar thing about, and I won't elaborate on the war because this sucks, is the fact that the women will come down every day to take the rubber sap from the trees, right? And had little wooden bowls hooked onto a little wire thing, and they'd take it, put it into their bag or wherever they had, some kind of a bucket container, and put the container back to Cheshire South for the next day or 2 days later. Except around the foxholes, they weren't doing that. We found out why were we being fired on every night, foxholes. Somebody looked back and said, everything around us is lit up. These rubber bowls were luminous. So they're saying, right, there's a hole, there's a foxhole. Shoot right there, you're going to get him. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So we get out of there. I get out of there in my time was up. I got out of there in the end of March, 1966.
And when you came back, so you were finished. Then you came back to America come back into the flag guys back.
Actually, flew us back into. Well, I had a few stops. There's a whole plane load flying out of Tonsanui Airport in Saigon. Stopped in many different Wake Island, Philippines, and the final stop before we hit the mainland, which again was Oakland or San Francisco, was Hawaii. Honolulu flew us into Hawaii, into Honolulu to refuel. So we have an hour and 15 minutes. You guys can do whatever you want.
Sure.
As long as you don't leave the airport. Could smell the beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could smell it. It was down here. Well, we found a bar in the airport, and I had a lovely ice cold beer. A bunch of us, and about 1/3 of us got served, and about 2/3 didn't because it was 21 in Hawaii at the time.
Oh. Okay.
But you know, it's such. They were old enough to go and fight and die, and they couldn't get a beer back in their homeland. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
But that was.
Back to Oakland.
Back to Oakland. Got discharged in Oakland, and come back to civilian life. Back to Stanford. Work, and work. You know, doesn't stop.
You got involved in Stanford. Were you involved with the? You also got involved with the AOH.
Well, a little bit. It was more of a necessity.
Yeah.
There was no place else to go. There were a fine bunch of people.
The old Hibernian Hall was a good.
The old Hibernian Hall.
People.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you might meet people and stay there until 5 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't good, no. You know, as you would know.
Something I would never do.
No. But you know, it was a place to go, and lived in Stanford until, when was that? 73 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, then we moved down to your neck of the woods, down to Byram. So there for a couple of years, got enough money to move to Fairfield, and that was 75. On Reef Road in Fairfield. I remember when I was up here for over a year, I kept going back down to Stanford. I said, oh, this is nuts. I said, but I can't find anything Irish up here. So I finally went to the Yellow Pages. I looked under Irish for Irish clubs, nothing. Looked under AOH, couldn't find anything. Looked under H for Hibernians, nothing. Looked under G for Gaelic. I found something. Gaelic American Club. Bridgeport. Goodsill Street. I says, okay. Got a map, found out where Goodsill Street was. Went to a car following Friday night and drove trying to find this place. And I found Goodsill Street. It was about 100 yards long, if that. And I said, there's nothing on here except the fencing, and there's a warehouse over there. There's an auto body shop over here. And I drove around again, and I stopped the car and listened. And I heard some voices and some music over the auto body shop. And that was my introduction to the Gaelic Club. I think it was 76 or 77. Went up there and introduced myself. I'm so-and-so, and you know, like to join. They have to sign. Don't worry about the book. Have a beer. So I had a beer. So that was the Gaelic Club.
You became a bartender at the Gaelic Club.
Under duress.
Under duress.
Nobody else would do it.
Because actually, the first time I went into Goodsill Street was because you were bartender.
Did I treat you well?
You did indeed. I mean, it was around
But
that time.
Eddie Gallagher, Donegal was the man who permittee and bartender for life almost. But Eddie got sick and had to go to the hospital. So I talked to Eddie and said, Eddie, some people have asked me if I could take over for you while you're recuperating, and I'm going to pass it by you first. He said, that's fine, no problem. So I don't know. I did it for a year or so.
Well, I did. We kind of skipped quickly over your from the army right up to Gaelic American, and I want to just back up a little bit on that because I want to get involved with you have when you came down when you came to live in Byram, the great 10 Beach Street in Byram.
Mrs.
You had gotten married in between times. And
yeah.
You had, in fact, now growing up boys. When I mention them, make sure they're part of the involved.
Oh yes.
So maybe I'll leave it up to you.
I'll start with the youngest because when I was in Byram, that's when he was born.
I remember very well.
Aiden, who proceeded to go on hunger strike, right, and starve himself to death almost before we decided something's wrong with this child. I had to take him into Greenwich Hospital where they fed him intravenously. He had blockage somewhere down in the upper abdomen where food wasn't getting into him. But I guess it worked all right. Now he's about 6'1", so I think he's okay. Yeah. Affected the brain a little bit, I think. You know.
Friend, young man.
So that's the youngest, and then there's Dermot. He's the middle one. Dermot almost did a swan dive off the balcony at 10 Beach Street because he liked climbing up on the netting out there.
That balcony was on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
3 floors up.
Yeah. And then there was Brian Ziola, whose birthday was just last Monday, 1st of August. So Brian was born on the 1st of August, 1969. Dermot was born on the 1st of February, 1971. And Aiden was born March 19th, 1973. So I'm getting old, and they're getting old. Yeah.
Well, I remember when Aiden was a baby and he was living across
from
the hall from us.
Yeah.
And every time I put my head in the door, I came in.
He cried. He still does it, by the way.
But the minute I took my glasses off, he stopped.
It was the glasses thing, huh?
Glasses thing.
Yeah.
Hated glasses.
Yeah.
But so 3 boys.
3 boys. Dermot's. Well, let's start with Brian. He's the oldest. He's married. Lives in Fairfield. He's going to be a dad in November, which will be my first grandchild.
Okay.
And Dermot is not going to get married, I don't think.
You don't think so?
He lives in Fairfield.
Yeah.
Aiden is married, and he lives up in West Haven. Brian's married to Kerry. Aiden is married to Megan. Megan O'Connor.
Yeah. I also want to touch on another we kind of left out. Your livelihood. I know we just said you bartend, but you didn't bartend for a livelihood.
No, you wouldn't call that a livelihood. No. I also bartended in Hibernian Hall for a while just to make ends meet.
That's true too. You
yeah.
were a bartender,
I guess I did the Pitney Bowes thing back in the late '60s for about 5 or 6 years. Worked in the cost accounting department, and really saw I wasn't going anywhere because there was a bunch of young Turks coming from college with master's degrees, and all financial wizards, and the future wasn't there for me. So I went to a friend of mine, Carl Shanahan in Stanford, who had just really started a cleaning company, Shamrock Maintenance. And in 1973, I joined Shamrock. In '74, General Electric finished their building and their move from New York City to Fairfield, their headquarters. So I ran the operations there for Shamrock for 5 or 6 years as a resident manager. Then I went down to the office in Stanford and was there for quite a number. I was there in 1993. Um, anything from operations manager to general manager. Yeah, so it was a good 20 years with Shamrock.
Mm-hmm.
And I left there and did venture of my own, which didn't turn out too well, vending business. And since then, I've worked in the maintenance field, different companies, different areas. Since I'm still working.
And also, I wanted to, before we get to the end of our conversation here, but I want to definitely touch on something that you're very well known for here in this club, and that is your membership with Clan-na-Gael and your performances with Clan-na-Gael over the years. I'd like you to talk a bit about it. I know you've been many of the players here, and you know, done some great.
Clan-na-Gael, I'm not even quite sure how old it is. Maybe 1987 or 88 or something like that. And Peg was big instrumental in starting that group up. I remember doing a little bit part, and I was dragged kicking and screaming into that. I'm going to do this stupid thing. This is so stupid. And I was stupid. That was terrible.
What do you look back and you did a lot of shows? I don't know many off the top of my head, but a lot. Looking back, what one of your, if you were to pick out a favorite player, character you did?
There was a lot of. I mean, there's probably two or three to send. And of course, it was the year of the hiker when I was a hiker.
Yeah.
I love that part.
You did that twice, actually.
I did twice.
Back in 10 years.
Yeah, it was 12 years or something.
Yeah.
And second time around, I saw it a little differently and did it a little differently. A different set of supporting cast there too.
Sure.
I also always enjoyed when I did it. I enjoyed the role of Danger Mullally in Many Young Men at 20.
Yeah, good job on that too.
And I also loved doing that cowardly, no good guy in The Shadow of a Gunman.
Really?
I can't even remember his name.
Yeah, I can't have that.
But those three stand out.
Yeah. How about Bull McCabe?
Bull, yeah.
You did a good job.
I was more of a bullock than a bull.
in the field.
In the field, yeah. I was.
Great piece.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing the bull. I did Crystal and Fox. I did that one.
Mm-hmm.
One of the fondest memories is doing that little skit with Pete in the Workhouse Ward.
Yeah. That was
Pete Ballou.
That was a good spot. Yeah, I remember. I enjoyed that.
Except when they wet my bed.
Well, there's always something going to happen.
Oh, really? Yeah, well, they put about 2 or 3 inches of water in the tarp or whatever it was in the bed, and I'm sitting in 2 inches of water trying to do my lines.
What do you miss most about Ireland? Living here in America, what's the one that you didn't?
Again, let's say if you were to ask me that question 10 or 12 years ago, I probably would say the simplicity, which is not the case anymore.
Yeah.
I still think they all, us, you included, would say, well, they're not the same as they used to be. But still, you go back there and you find these. You go to the local, they haven't changed that much, and that's what I like. Yeah. And I like, you go back there and, good Lord, it was a game yesterday. They will dissect that game, analyze the game, curse at it, praise it, but that's what I miss probably, something like that. But yeah, a lot of the simplicity is gone. It's a modern version right now.
Of course, that great Irish sausage and black pudding.
Well, I get that out here now.
I know you do.
It's not bad.
So do I.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Thanks to Mr. Pat O'Connell, who my courier. Yeah.
Ireland has got, of course, the world has got smaller.
Yeah.
And but that's changed. But there's still, and you find that down in your area too in Ireland, the little locals that haven't changed.
No, they haven't. They're a lot smarter, I think, a lot more worldly. But when you go to the local pub and you listen to the local banter, I think it's great. It's great stuff. Yeah.
If you had to pick out a memory from your childhood, a time, just a memory, what would come back to you? What would be that memory, be that time?
Whew. That's a tough one, though. It'd have to be a good memory, you know. I don't know. I don't know.
I know you kind of, when you're thinking of that,
Yeah.
you kind of balked at me here a couple of times when I tried to lead you into certain.
Well, you should keep leading.
But I want to just go. A first date. Do you remember your first date in Ireland? The first girl you ever went out with?
Yeah, I think I do. To a certain degree, no.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you're not going to give me all the
No, I'm
details.
not. I was scared to death.
Oh, you were, yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Oh, jeez, what am I supposed to do?
I know.
Yeah. What do I do now?
But it is.
I must be the biggest ages in Ireland. I said to myself.
Did you take her to a dance, or meet her at a dance, or bring her to a movie?
I think it was a picture, but I don't even remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a picture. Yeah. And it wasn't Murphy's Flea House either. No, it was the other one. Your upper class were the 2 shilling job.
The 2 shilling. And one other question I would ask you, this is going to be, I don't know if I ever talked to you about this before. Pioneers, were they big in your area of the country? Were you a part of it at all? Or it just wasn't there?
The Pioneer.
Yeah.
Pioneers were somewhat big.
Mm-hmm.
You know, were in every parish. No, I was never a pioneer. I was never a drinker. My first drink was in this country when I was on my 21st birthday.
Oh.
So I never drank in Ireland when I was teenage years, and I never drank in England.
Oh.
But I would refuse to wear a pin. I refuse to wear anything that ties me in with anything like that. It's fine, let them do it. It's fine. You know, but I saw